Hello and welcome to My Opinion Archive. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my favorite title from the Star Wars Expanded Universe, also known as Legends. Before I start telling you why I find this title so interesting, I'm just going to give a quick explanation of the title and what time period it was in, so everyone has an understanding of the context. The title is what is known as a Jedi Lord, which was an informal title assumed by members of the Jedi Order during the 100-year period between 1100 and 1000 BBY. During this time period, a war was happening known as the New Sith War, and the Galactic Republic was so weak that several star systems outside the main core world were actually left defenseless. So a bunch of Jedi decided to go and try to save these worlds. As they started defeating the Sith, many people on the world started giving them political power and money and wealth and castles and places to conduct their military attacks. And soon these people became very revered by the populace on the planets. So they became kings or barons and actually started to more or less rule these planets. And they started taking up the title of Jedi Lord to signify that they were rulers of these worlds. Some of these Jedi Lords also created a hereditary system, so they passed down their title to their children. And these planets that they end up ruling started to become a very peaceful contrast to the rest of the galaxy that was taken over by the Sith. During this time period, the Galactic Senate was also ruled over or presided over by a Jedi Supreme Chancellor. And during this time, the Jedi Lords had also created their own, should we call it Jedi Council, called the Jedi Grand Council, because during this time there were also a Jedi High Council who didn't really like the idea of the Jedi Lords going out and ruling these worlds, because these Jedi Lords they were members of the Jedi Order, but they have sort of separated themselves to go out and save these worlds they have now become kings and queens over. So this was my short explanation of what a Jedi Lord is and the time period in which this title was created. What I find interesting about the title of Jedi Lord is that it is so contradictory to the normal view of the Jedi. Although they are Jedi who are fighting for peace, as we see in the Clone Wars, these Jedi are also assuming power. They are assuming wealth. They are assuming influence over worlds, which is arguably maybe a very Sith thing to do, to control places. As we see in the Clone Wars, for instance, the Jedi are not really involved in the Republic politics. During that time, it's also not allowed for Jedi to become Supreme Chancellors. So it's also a very different time period, but the title itself is very contradictory to what we see in the movies. As you can also hear, these Jedi apparently had children since they created a hereditary system, which is of course very different, because in the Clone Wars, attachment is not allowed, so children is also not allowed. Hence why Anakin and Padme had to hide their relationship. What I also like about the title is that it gives a view into how the galaxy could be. That there could be a galaxy ruled by Jedi. That the Jedi Order could assume control and command over worlds and arguably possibly rule them peacefully. More peacefully than the Galactic Republic maybe does. But of course, depending on how the Jedi would do this, it wouldn't perhaps be by a democracy. Of course, these Jedi Lords were chosen by the people to rule the worlds, but they also created an hereditary system, meaning that they didn't really allow the worlds to choose who would come after them. And of course, the only reason why they were choosing to rule these worlds were because they saved them, which is the Jedi's job no matter what, and they're supposed to do it without getting anything in return. But these worlds were good. People liked being on these worlds. Of course, due to the time period, what you consider a good world is not controlled by Sith. And a Sith world is probably very bad to be on. So the question is if it was between a world within the Galactic Republic right before the Clone Wars, or a world ruled by the Jedi Lords, which one would be better? But I sort of like this alternate universe idea, where the Jedi just control the galaxy. So I think it's a very interesting way of seeing how the Star Wars galaxy could be if the Jedi were a little bit more like the Sith. The title of Jedi Lord was removed during the end of the New Sith War. When it was all over, the main Jedi Order, the ones that weren't Jedi Lords, the ones that hadn't wanted to participate in this battle and didn't like the idea of Jedi taking titles, decided to disband any Jedi Lords and disband the Jedi Grand Council. All the Lords that survived this battle and decided to keep their titles were shunned by the rest of the Jedi Order, and they tried to remove anything that had to do with Jedi Lords. But a small group of them, known as the Korean Jedi, still existed and persisted until, I believe, the Clone Wars, actually. But was this a good thing? Although I do like the title of Jedi Lord and what it stands for and find it interesting, I do think it was a good thing for the Star Wars galaxy that the main Jedi Order disbanded this practice. Because although the Jedi that fought during the war were good Jedi who wanted to do good things, their children or people who took over the title could very easily become corrupted because they have a lot of power. That's why the Jedi Order normally avoid taking power and political control, because it can corrupt people. So I think it was a good thing, but the practice was maybe necessary during this time because the Republic was so weak and someone needed to take control over these worlds' military and finances to combat the Sith. But as I said, the Jedi who did it were good and could probably rule their worlds justly and peacefully, but their children could become corrupted because they have known nothing else but having power and money and wealth, even if they are brought up as Jedi. But I do think it could have been very interesting to see a galaxy where this title had continued, to see how it would affect the galaxy and Jedi Order to have these children of very important Jedi Lords attending the Jedi Academy, and how it would affect these worlds that a Jedi would rule them, and how it would affect the Order as a whole, taking into consideration that members of the Order now ruled parts of the galaxy, how it would affect the Republic. Would there be Jedi senators from these worlds? Would there be a divide where it would be like a Republic-controlled space and a Jedi Lord-controlled space? Would the rest of the Order accept these Jedi Lords as part of the Order? And what would happen if a Jedi Lord gained children who were non-Force sensitives? Would they still be ruling these worlds? I think it could be very interesting to explore. Unfortunately, it won't happen because, well, the Jedi Order changed and removed the Jedi Lords. Thank you for watching this video. As always, this has been my opinion archive. I hope you found it interesting. Please tell me, did you know about the Jedi Lords before this video? What do you think of the Jedi Lords? And would you like to see an expansion on this idea to, as I stated before, see a galaxy ruled by Jedi? As I said, I would really like that, but it's unfortunately not going to happen unless someone make a fan fiction about it.